Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to call our meeting to order. This is a a special meeting of the Oklahoma City Economic Development Trust. Special in that we normally meet at 2 o'clock. Today we're meeting at 1 o'clock. The first item on our agenda is to approve the minutes of the August 20th meeting, and they have been distributed to the trustees prior to this meeting. Are there any questions, comments, or changes to the minutes as they were distributed to you?
Move to approve.
Have a motion to approve? Have a motion made and second to approve. All those in favor, please cast your votes. And the minutes are approved. Next item on the agenda is to ratify some claims that the trust has encountered. These claims have been distributed to you all previously. Are there any questions or comments on the claims? I have a relatively short list this time.
No questions, but would like to move approval.
Motion made and seconded to ratify the claims that the trust paid. All those in favor, cast your votes. And the claims are ratified. Thank you very much. You had some questions, did you say? Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. Next item on the agenda is a joint resolution. And this is one that's going to take some explanation because I think it's probably one of the more complicated transactions we've been involved in.
And I think I'll ask Brent to explain it further. It's a funding plan. It's a joint resolution between the city and the Economic Development Trust to approve a funding plan to provide some gold bond funds as the Economic Development Trust's involvement to help with improvements at the Softball Hall of Fame facility. And I'll let Brent take it from there.
Thank you. Back in 2012, the city, along with the All Sports Association and the ASA Softball Hall of Fame, began having discussions with the NCAA about extending the term of the Women's College World Series. And that is set to expire at the end of next year's Women's College World Series in 2014. And with that, they provided a funding plan and a budget of various projects that they would like to see performed. And in this last year, the city, in conjunction with the county, has spent a little over $400,000 to do some initial improvements out there to help with television and ESPN and doing some things for them. Subsequent to that, city staff has been working with ASA, the NCAA, and in developing the phase one of the improvements. In the 2007 bond election, there were $2 million that were set aside for improvements to that facility. And so what you have here today, you'll notice that here in the funding plan. Last month, the Oklahoma City Public Property Authority and the City of Oklahoma City solicited plans and specifications to do the first phase of projects. And some of those projects, the phase one also included about 5 alternates that the NCAA had requested. Subsequent to that, last week, bids were received, and we are awarding the contract, anticipate awarding the contract next Tuesday at the City Council meeting. It'll be a city contract. And with that, there's a significant amount of the funding for this will be provided through philanthropic and through naming rights. And at this point in time, those revenues are not all available. We anticipate them coming in over the next 2 to 3 years. And so essentially what we're doing here today, we're seeking your authorization to transfer up to $8 million of our general obligation limited tax bonds to the city's capital improvement fund in order to award the contract next Tuesday. We do anticipate by the end of the year, probably $2 to $2.5 million of the philanthropic money to be available. As soon as that money becomes available, we'll be transferring that money back to the Economic Development Trust to essentially reimburse these general obligation limited tax bonds. We do anticipate there is a second phase. We're currently working on a term sheet with the NCAA on the term of extension of their stay here in Oklahoma City, and the staff is just continually working on that, and we're hopeful to get that done as soon as possible. With that, I'll try to answer some of your questions.
Questions? Yes, ma'am.
How many years are the naming rights payable over?
It's anticipated those could be anywhere from 5 to 10 years or longer, depending on what the agreement is made. Not only is all sports associations doing part of the facilities out there, but the Oklahoma City Public Property Authority is also entering into an agreement with Legends to do certain naming rights. And those agreements have not all been finalized yet, but I would anticipate it could be up to 10 years on some of those. Because it's quite extensive. I mean, it'll take some time.
Did you mention the GEO bond funding?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I can tell you that we are anticipating around $7 million from the philanthropic, and of that, I anticipate that to be repaid within 5 years, regarding the part that the city's actually doing. That we anticipate that, as Wiley said, that'll be more than likely a 10-year deal.
Any more questions? Larry?
Wiley, on the naming rights and the general limited obligation bonds, gold bonds, should no naming rights ever be sold, we can still use the gold money that we lent over to this project. We can still use that to fund the project according to state law. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay, thank you.
Are there any other questions, comments? It's a little bit unusual to do a project like this, but I think it's, as Wally said, it's well within the statute. So, comments, questions? Chair would entertain a motion to submit this resolution and approve the resolution and forward it up to City Council, where there it'll have some further discussion and review.
So moved.
Is there any further, have a motion made and second? Are there any further comments or questions? If not, please cast your votes. And the resolution is approved. Thank you very much. As I said, it'll be presented to the City Council at our next meeting, and it'll be reviewed also. And I'm sure we may have a question or two there, but Brett will be in the audience. Kathy, will you be there? Good, thank you. Well, so we'll have adequate staff there to answer the detailed questions if we run into something. But anybody who's been out to the Softball Hall of Fame during the tournament thing knows it is a real attraction in Oklahoma City. And we're estimating about $10 million a year when they come in. So it's a pretty good deal, I think, as far as loaning the money is concerned, or providing the money. Any other comments?
Not only from attendance, but also from viewership on ESPN. It's one of their more highly rated programs. So it does a lot in terms of awareness and favorable viewpoints of the city.
It is, I think, a good program.
I might just point out, because I think sometimes we lose sight of this, the Amateur Softball Association, in addition to what All Sports does with the NCAA, also has worldwide tournaments out there. So it's not just NCAA events, it's worldwide softball venue that gets televised as well. So it's a big project.
Are there any comments from staff? Comments from the trustees? Comments from the public? Hearing none, we are adjourned.